All right, shed update. It's been a couple days. Yesterday we got this beauty all polished up. Came out halfway decent, I guess, as I suspected. A lot of the paint came off the trunk lid, but it's about right. The paint everywhere else is somewhat thin. I could have gone more animal with the polisher. Probably should have. However, in the interest of retaining blue, I opted to maybe have a little bit less gloss and more color, if you will. So it definitely could be shinier. It's still already shinier than the green car was, which is kind of sad because the green car had new paint and this has 60-year-old baked paint, but it is what it is. So it came out alright. It's definitely a little bit blotchy just from the polisher and such, you know, just me missing little spots here and there. But this paint took a lot to bring back any gloss. It was very stubborn, and you can see, because this is not house paint, this is actual like automotive paint. It's just been brushed on instead of sprayed on, and given the same treatment as the rest of the paint, this stuff's like a mirror. Like, it even polished out most of the brush marks. Yeah. This stuff is way shinier than this. So, that kind of speaks volumes about just how fried this paint was and still is. It's not exactly good, but I think it's plenty presentable for what this car is kind of supposed to be. At some point, I might repaint the car in its entirety. We will see. The front clip is certainly going to get painted / replaced next semester, so that should be fun. But I was very pleased with how all the chrome cleaned up. Front bumper, minty. Very happy with that. And all the trim on the side. Get that before shot. Kind of hazy, kind of scratched up. Very nice. Very pleased with that. Back bumper also cleaned up quite nice. Just went over this with the polisher too, just to knock some of the lighter scratches and oxidation off the chrome. Worked wonders. So I took off the badges and such to make polishing easier and so that I wouldn't wreck the badges. So that was a good idea. I also got the taillights out. I was going to take all the trim off, but that's overkill for this. At some point it might come off to get cleaned underneath, but I don't think it's really worth it at this point in time. So yes, I did actually get it to run, which was somewhat surprising. The engine still has a massive hole in the block. However, I took the starter out and swapped the nose cone on it because the nose cone was busted in half. So I had another one I put in. And I put a piece of metal over the hole. And I took the rod out. This is the connecting rod. Oh, and that's the starter nose cone. Pretty busted. But I took the rod out through the hole in the block, or what was left of it. I think what happened is the connecting rod bolts were not tight enough and they came loose, and there's supposed to be like locking nuts on these on top of the nuts you torque, and it didn't have those, and the nuts were finger loose, and the bearing was also missing. So I think the rod loosened up as opposed to a lack of oil pressure. I think that's what killed it. I think someone had their fingers in there and didn't tighten it enough or something. That's what did it. But I took the rod out and I went to start it, and it did start after much screwing around and trying. I took the carb apart and cleaned it, but it ran for like 30 seconds, and now it won't run again, and it's cranking really slowly. So I took the starter apart too and cleaned that up. That didn't really seem to help much, and it looked nice inside. It was a rebuilt starter. So I'm fairly certain that the cables that go from the battery to the solenoid and from the solenoid to the starter, I think the cables and the connections are bad. because once it heats up, it really cranks slow. Once the cables heat up, that is. So I think that's what's going on, but not 100%. I'm not too worried about it. It was really just for fun anyway. It's not like it's really realistic to try and run this thing, but it was for my own amusement. So it's just gonna get pushed to car show, and I think that'll be that. But I determined that all the lights work, just about everything on the dash works. The blower motor, I think, is dead, because I'm getting power to the switch for, the heater. But everything else under here seems to work. Wipers, gauges, probably gauges, I don't know. Radio works, horn. Radio, that was a treat. Let's see if it'll work again. Fairly certain this is a tube radio. I thought it was a transistor, but I think transistor came in the next year. So you just have to wait for the tubes to warm up. Come on. Let's see if it'll go. It should go. Oh, wait. There we go. Come on. Once it's on for a little while, then it'll kind of kick in. It seemed like whenever I got it working, I had to like find a station. Oh. There we go. Yeah. Badass. That makes me extraordinarily happy. It's such a treat, and it sounds so crappy too. So crappy, I love it. I might put a new speaker in. I'm fairly certain this is the original speaker, still cooking under there. Might put something else in there, because I'm sure this one's just cooked. But just the general crappy sound quality, typical AM radio, and I like that. It's so period correct crap. Fitting song. Good vibes. So that is quite the treat. Very pleased about that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an AM radio Bluetooth transmitter. See, the FM ones are easy to get. They're like $12 on Amazon. Plug it into the cigarette lighter and you can like transmit stuff from your phone to your radio. But they don't exactly make AM radio transmitters. Well, at least not for cheap, because there are very few people as insane as me that want to, listen to an AM radio with a terrible sound quality. But there are a few. So there's one company I found that makes something, I think you put it under the dash, I'm not entirely sure. It's like $80, something like that. That'll, you can hook your phone into it, and then it'll broadcast to the AM frequency of your choosing. So, probably going to get one of those, seeing as I have a somewhat substantial budget on this thing. I'm currently into this $1,100, including having it towed and buying the guy's dinner. So, I've got a bit of money to play with. So, not too worried about that side of things. But, overall, very pleased with how this is coming along. Confirmed next semester I will be rebuilding that in my engines class. Talked to my professor about it. He said he would love to have it in. So that is pretty well set. Looking forward to getting this on the road. But for now, just trying to get things tidied up as best I can and shiny. Alright, I guess until next time. It's about to be pretty busy because car show is in 2 days. So Gonna be pretty busy working on this and helping other guys get their piles of crap ready to go for the show. So, until further notice.